Um, it drives a lot of value in our industry in terms of streamlining and reducing costs and being able to execute in private transactions efficiently and effectively. So I guess that's a good summation.
All right.
Yeah, and
oh, perfect, Carlton. I was making sure you came in.
Yeah, and we were just talking about just the things that were happening in the space and how it's changing finance and the instruments of finance. And so I mentioned coin seed, which I think since my podcast really targets beginners that are doing crypto investing, I was talking with Justin. I was telling him about coin seed, which is an app that allows you to take your pocket change that you spend on your debit or your credit cards and basically rounds up those purchases to the nearest dollar, then takes the difference between what you spent in the nearest dollar and then invest that change into a portfolio of either a total of 12 different currencies, or you can customize it to just, invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever other currency is. They can customize it basically. And it's a great way to get into it without having to worry about trying to figure out how to get into the exchanges and the wallets, the e-wallets versus the offline wallets. It's a really good tool just to get folks involved. And they actually sponsor my show, and so I'm I'm always talking about them on the show and so forth. So that's what we was kind of rapping about last thing we got the phone. And also there's an app that I have that I'm a part of actually that does it's a fundraising app for aspiring entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs that have businesses already, where they do like an elevator pitch that disappears every 24 hours, kind of like a Snapchat meets GoFundMe almost in a way. And they basically share with their network. They do public shares, and people can actually, give them money or just invest them money. It would be a minimum of $1, depending on the project. And so I was telling Justin that I'm thinking about putting that into the tokenizing it, similar to what he was talking about with making it into a security. So that's all. We're just kind of chopping it up about that, and just talking about all the things going on in the crypto world, which is always interesting stuff to talk about. I mean, I can go all day long about it, but I did a show yesterday about, of course, you all heard about Steam, which is Steemit, where you get paid for providing social media content, and it's a token as well.
No. What is it now?
Well, I did a show the last 2 days. I focused on the Mark Zuckerberg Congress testimony and how they were, taking private information, sharing it with third parties. And so, and the fact that, reason why Mark is making so much money is he's taking free content that we're providing on the platform and monetizing it in the form of, getting advertisers to buy it and so forth and so on. And so I was talking about how with cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, it allows now the people who create content and information to be able to, privatize it or make it more secure, and they can share how they want to. And then that led into a conversation about Steemit, which is a social media platform on the blockchain that, hold on, I'm on the phone. That's on the blockchain that deals with allowing you to be able to take content, create content, curate content, and actually be rewarded and get paid. They've paid out over $40 million in the past since they've been up, which I think has been a little over 2 years now. And so they have a token. It's backed by their own token, which is called Steam. Steam is spelled STEEM. And Steam is actually what you get paid in. You get like Steam dollars. And that's also a token that's traded. I think it costs about $2 right now per token. So
you said it's STEEM?
Mm-hmm. Steam.
And
that's the name of the token.
Token.
Yeah, that's the name. Yeah, that's the name of the token. But the name of the platform, the social media platform, is Steam It. So STEEMIT.
STEEMIT.
IT.
Okay.
Yes. And literally anyone can just post content. And what happens is that the people in the community, like, you know how when you're on Facebook, you can be able to make a post and there's people like the post.
Right.
But literally people like your post, you actually get paid, because that's basically like the community voting and saying, oh, this is good. So, so it's a really, really good, a good one. And then the day before that, I talked about VenChain, which is an ICO out of, I believe, San Francisco. And they're, well, at least their office is there. They're creating creating a blockchain technology that will help be able to get your car records. So it's basically taking all the archived information on vehicles and allowing it to be uploaded in real time. So when you're actually buying a used car, you can now get the tokens, and the tokens will give you access to all this information that you can't get on Carfax, because it's being uploaded by maintenance people, uploaded by the dealerships, uploaded by previous owners. Plus it has some type of chip or something in the car that basically follows the diagnostics, knows what's going on at all times with the vehicle. And all that is uploaded on these ledgers, which we now know as blockchain, of course. So they're coming up with something that's very interesting called VenChain. VIN chain.
Hold on a second, I'm gonna try to. I'm just playing right now. Obviously, y'all can see.
Yeah. So those are the last. Those are the last really two shows that I kind of touched on, talked about. The last, let's say Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday shows, and then I think Monday and Tuesday was I talked about wax. Put it on wax, and I talked about EOS, which is Ethereum on steroids. And I have an interview next week with one of the executive team members of Wax to talk about what they're doing, which they created their own exchange for gamers to be able to share content and buy content and all this stuff, buy video games and all this stuff. So it's a growing market. I think it's $400 million market now. I think it's more than that, actually. I think $4 billion in gaming. So so that's basically it.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I was just trying to practice with the screen share. That's all, to try to show it. But either way, they're very, very good info, man. Can you hear me? Oh yeah, you guys can hear me. Very, very good info.
Yes.
Like you said, you have a podcast, and if anybody's interested in that podcast, it is called, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the chat because it's easy to do that. It's called Crypto Sense.
With a Z.
With a Z.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, Crypto Sense. Crypto Sense podcast. And I think you're up to what, maybe 62, 63 episodes?
Yeah, I'm on episode 63 now, I believe the next one. It's a Monday through Friday show. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, we're on iHeartRadio, a couple of other outlets. We're probably gonna set up some type of blog as well in the future to kind of re-air in the form of words. Some of these episodes, particularly the interviews, I think is going to be most valuable.
So with that being said, just so you guys know, my kind of intention at this point is to really piggyback off of what Carlton has done. In other words, I keep talking about it every week, but it's just that, I've watched how he's taken basically an idea and a thought and something he wanted to learn about and just started talking about it. Literally, that's all he did was just start talking about it, and created these 10 and 15-minute shows every single day, and just talking about stuff. So I see your hand up too, Doc D. I'll get with you in 2 seconds. And moving forward, as you heard, he has a sponsor, and then he's also being featured, like he told you, on iHeartRadio. He's on the podcast. He's on Google Play, and a few other platforms. So, my thought is to do that. And now that he's mentioned Steam It, that to me, that's another outlet, right, that we can use to make sure we disseminate information, or at least, to just put things out and to try to build up the buzz. With that being said,
Justin, one other thing too. There's another social media platform called DTube. They're basically trying to. It's basically kind of a DTube, D and tube, like YouTube, but it's DTube.
Okay.
And they're basically doing the same thing. It's like a YouTube type format, but instead of you getting paid from YouTube via advertisers, you're getting paid by direct contributions to the people who are watching what you're putting up. So take a look at that as well. It's a relatively new company, but they've gotten some momentum, and I think they're going to become even more valuable as this decentralizing of content takes place, and people start seeing the value of their content and start looking at it from the standpoint of, going directly to the audience.
Cool. Doc D.
Yes, Carlton, I had a question. Was there a reason why you had decided not to use YouTube at all? You guys can hear me, right? Hello?
Doc D, I can hear you. I can hear you, Doc D. I just wish you.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I am actually on YouTube. If you type in crypto sense, one word, I believe, or it could be two. I think it may be 2 words. Into your YouTube search, you'll see our replays. We have the replays. I haven't done any videos. It's just primarily just been replays of the actual shows. Yeah, and there's a service that I do. There's a service that I've done, which I think it's like $5 a month. It gets me access. They just automatically load it up onto YouTube for me, so I don't even have to do any of that.
And have you looked into Black Junction TV at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Yeah, you may want to check that out.
Okay, Black Junction TV.
Yeah, that's like another YouTube, kind of like like the DTube, like you were talking about.
Oh, cool. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So if everybody can see, that's Crypto Sense. You guys can jump right on. And that's off of YouTube. And then Doc D, real quick, you just mentioned something. Let's see, this thing is gonna act up on me here because this is always fun. Everything wants to join at the top. There. And then what was that one you just said, Doc D? Doc D, you just mentioned some site. You're just on mute if you're trying to talk. All right, must have lost you or something. Uh-oh. Doc D?
Black Junction TV.
Black Junction TV. Okay.
Yeah.
Black Junction. Perfect. And I'll throw it in the chat as well. Never heard of it though. And I see they have a Facebook thing too. And it, oh, man, they got a whole kind of, might have to really look at this as a piggyback.
Well, I discovered it because, you know, I tend to watch a lot of our folks' content on YouTube, and the ones that I watch are the ones that YouTube tends to shut down because, you know, for whatever reason, it makes them feel uncomfortable. So there was a few of them talking about Black Junction and that they don't have that issue with Black Junction.
God.
Uh-huh.
All right, give me a second. Still learning how to use this thing here. All right, cool. So real quick, got about another 20 minutes, and I'll go ahead and kind of bring up a topic of discussion that we can get into, unless anybody has anything else, or actually I'll say before anybody has anything else, or if anybody has anything they want to talk about. That's probably what I should have said as well. If anybody had any subjects that they of interest. All right, so I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about what happened to me this week. To kind of kick off the subject, and I'm glad there's not too many people on right now, so we don't have to worry about going far past 10 o'clock. But Monday and Tuesday, I spent my entire day in the courtroom fighting for the ability to have shared parental responsibility with my youngest daughter's mother. And in that process, I had the pleasure of having people try to make me and really attack my character for the explicit intent of keeping me away and out of my daughter's life. So without going into too much detail, there was something that, we'll do that later. But it really had me thinking, you know, first of all, I mean, I think we'd all agree that having children out of wedlock definitely isn't the best move if we're making this, you know, if we're making a decision to have a child, that's probably not the best decision to make out of wedlock, right? In marriage is probably the best way to do it with regard to helping to ensure that the child gets the best of both parents, the best of life, you know, just all that kind of thing. I think I would hope that we'd all kind of agree on that. If not, I understand, but I would hope we all agree on that. But when these situations don't happen and, you know, you end up with a situation where there's a mother and a father, custodial, non-custodial, maybe there's even some distance in between. You know, the subject I kind of want to raise is, you know, the father's impact in a child's life. Now, there's a lot of ways we can go, so I'm gonna try to do my best, especially because the limited amount of time, to see if I can really give us something to more focus on, because it's very broad. So let's just say, okay, actually, I know this how we'll kind of do the topic. So let's just say there's a, you know, you could have a kid, you could have a boy or a girl. Doesn't matter, boy or girl, the impact or how much impact a father should have in that child's life. In other words, I'm a man, we have a girl. So should it be that the girl should spend more time with the mom because she's a girl? And if it were a boy, he should spend more time with the boy? Or does it not matter and a father should be a father? And if so, why? So that's the question. I'm opening it up, and I'm gonna purposely unmute everybody so somebody has to talk. And make yourself, I guess I couldn't, I thought I could. Y'all mute yourself. But anyway, so the topic's out there.
Well, I guess I'll go first.
Cool.
Yeah, and I learned before, I guess previously, I thought that just for boys, it's important for boys to have that father presence. The beings that I grew up without my father. It wasn't until I started doing some mentoring with Pathways to Success with my brother Justin, that I discovered at what was that? Was that John Hopkins?
Yeah.
John Hopkins.
Well, we
mentored. Where it was the first time.
Yeah, we went to Gibbs first in John Hopkins. High school into.
Yeah. But John Hopkins was the first. Yeah, but John Hopkins was the first time that we had girls.
Yes, sir. No, you're right.
And that was introduced to the program. And that's where I learned that fathers are just as important to girls as they are to boys, and they have to have that presence. And I know it sounds crude, but without a father, there's a good chance that they will be on that track to the strip club or to other places, even worse than that. So. And the other cool thing is that I saw how that male energy, how it just dramatically changed these girls' lives. That was amazing. I couldn't get over that. So I guess I think that's pretty much I have to add to this. If you have any questions, please ask.
We'll start there. I'll let other people talk.
Well, I think there's an argument from from time to time that's been made about the involvement of the father versus the mother. I think there is at certain critical times, and this is really me. This is all based on going through it now in terms of having a daughter, but I imagine that during certain critical times in the son or the daughter's life, that there may be a slightly more weighted influence or need for the male versus the female versus the male. I don't know to what extent, but I mean, just echoing what Doctor said, it's very important, to have both. And it's almost like starting a business, right? It's like, is the capital more important than the idea? Is the idea more important than the capital? I mean, you need both in order for it to really work. So how can you place value, make it work? So that's kind of that's
kind of. Jess, you there? Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was on mute carrying groceries in my arms.
If it's a better time, you can come back. Ready?
No, I can. I wanted to chime in on this and just share my thoughts. Every situation is unique. Every situation is different, and I don't think we can. I don't think that determination can be made, right? I mean, both. I think it's known that both sides are important and they both need to be involved in the child's life. And the argument that a child is going to be more acclimated to one parent versus the other. Well, to be honest with you, I think that's kind of silly, and I think it's not, I think that's dangerous thinking because, to me, it doesn't make any sense. I think that, I grew up in a two-parent household, even though it wasn't the ideal situation, they both brought to bear lessons in life that have helped me. So, that's those are my thoughts.
For a long time, I've thought kind of differently between it. It's one of those things where it's like you look at maybe old cultures, and the women would always nurture the children, no matter boy or girl, right? They would always begin by nurturing, and the men would always be kind of out, whether they're going to look for food, building stuff, whatever their mission was. But the women kind of stayed, with the children. They were also kind of more so responsible for. All right, there it is, Doc D. I just got your free meeting will end in 10 minutes. Well, the good news is we should be done in 10 minutes. But I'm not sure how much longer we'll go. So that was a side note. Apologize about that. But just got did everybody else see that, or is it just me?
Yeah, I didn't see it on my end. I just see the timer at 32 minutes and counting.
Okay, and what it's showing me is 9 minutes and 33 seconds remaining. So just so you guys know, and it said I could upgrade to, so it's $14.99. It looks like, and maybe it's $14.99 a month, or maybe unlimited or something. Right now, just know that we got 9 minutes and 19 seconds. And I think, according to Doc D, we can actually log back in, right? Log out and log back in if we want to keep talking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But I'm gonna try to just keep it to this 10 o'clock today, just because unless you guys want to keep going, but I'm gonna try to keep it at 10 o'clock. I got a few things I gotta get done today. But anyway, going back to what I was saying is that, I used to really, really look at those kind of the way those cultures were set up, right? Where the women would essentially take care of the kids while they were young, and then at a certain point, the boys, I guess, on their quest to become men, would then kind of be transferred to the men's, side, and then they would start getting their guidance from men. And so, my whole life, I used to kind of think along those lines, meaning women are just, naturally more nurturing and, so on and so forth. And, while the child is young, they should spend more time with the mother. And then as they get older, they kind of transition into where they need dad, right? Especially the boy, because at some point he does become a man, and at that point he should be, modeled, I guess, by the dad more than the mother. As I've gotten older, and I think everybody knows, I actually have two daughters. I have a 15-year-old and I also have a 3-year-old. I've started to recognize that, and then actually I'm gonna take it a step further. Then after watching too, and I'm gonna use Dr. Davis as actually a good example. And I just haven't known you as long, Carlton. But I've watched Dr. Davis for a long time, his daughter. And it really, and there's been other families, so it's not just Dr. Davis, but he's just on the call. But other men who have been in the house and how their relationships with their daughters were. And it just really started me to really recognizing how important it is for a daughter to have that same relationship, not just at a certain age, but even when they're younger. And a lot of it has a lot to do with that bond that's created between a father and a daughter, and the trust that has to be created, when they're young. It just doesn't come out of midair when they get older. And I'm not saying that the same doesn't exist with a boy. I just don't have those same experiences. But I just think as a man, a boy, I think that boy just always looks at his father a certain way. And so I think just by attrition, you just kind of get that. Whereas with a girl, especially because of their emotions and just the way they're kind of built, I think you always, you have to start from day one with that bond. And that's just been my personal opinion in between my two daughter relationships, one in which I'm with her much more often than the other, just based on proximity. I've really started to believe that even with daughters, or specifically with daughters, right? You really have to be in and on them, because they do need to learn how they're supposed to be treated, how a man is supposed to treat them. I think a lot of that is modeled with the way you treat your mother, the way they see you treat your mother, the way they see you treat other women. And that really does set the bar. So that's kind of been my feedback. I'll open it back up if anybody else has anything. Don't everybody speak at once. So maybe I'll take it one step farther. Does everybody on the phone have a daughter?
Yeah,
Well,
you know,
Okay.
well, I have one, so of course.
Right. And Jess, I think you do too, right?
have what?
A daughter.
Yeah, I have two.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. So you got two. So I take it one step farther. So as fathers, right? I'll tell you one thing. Well, there's two things. So there was something I heard the other day that said, you know, most fathers, when they have daughters, the first question is what? What do y'all know the first question that most men ask? Yeah, I'm making you talk right now. What's the first question that they ask you when you have a daughter?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Do you have a gun, right? That's the question. Did you buy your gun?
Do you have a gun? Oh, did you buy your gun? That is right.
Yes.
That's true.
All right. So a dude, you know, what the person said in this was, well, do you need a gun if you teach them good values?
True.
But then the second thing that came from that, because I agreed with that, I was like, yeah, I guess maybe you really don't need a gun if you gotta get that. The next thing is there such thing as spoiling your daughters too much? And then what do you
Yes.
do when you spoil them too much when they become an adult? So I'll throw that one out there. But we got 3 minutes and 35 seconds.
Well, I think a lot has to do with the values that you instill. I mean, you know, if you show them, you know, the ropes when it comes down to this game called life, and then you just treat them. You know, I think, you know, the one thing that we have to keep in mind is parents. You know, we have to be flexible with our kids, and you know, the reason why I say that is the fact that, you know, as kids grow, you know, sometimes we get stuck in a routine. You know, so we you know, we're habitual creatures, right? So, you know, being stuck in a routine, and we kind of forget, oh, they're 8 now. They don't do this kind of stuff anymore. So then you have to change your routine, and then, oh, they're 16 now. You know, can't treat them like this anymore. You know, they're going through puberty. They have different needs, and you know, you have to be able to recognize that and actually, you know, start treating them more, you know, like an adult, so that you can prepare them, you know, to make those decisions as an adult. You know, when they turn 18, go to college, so on and so forth. So, you know, it's an evolution. You know, it's a like a process evolution. You know, you have to constantly change, and you have to change with your kids. And I think the only reason why I can speak to that is the fact that, I have a I have a mixed family. You know, my 17-year-old is my stepdaughter, and I've been in her life since she was 8. And you know, now my son is 8, and my little daughter is 5. And so, you know, I've kind of been through the whole uh you know, life cycle of a, you know, child, going from, you know, inception to, you know, leaving the house almost. And you know, it has helped me, you know, in terms of raising my kids, you know, having her, you know, having my, you know, being in my stepdaughter's life at 8. And so, you know, just keeping in mind that, you know, again, you have to change, and you have to, you know, you have to grow with your children, essentially. And I think that's the most important thing when it comes down to passing down values, you know, to your daughter.
Doc D, anything you want to add?
No.
But no, I definitely agree with you, Dub. And we got like 1 more minute, so I'm gonna kind of close it up in this minute. And thank you everybody for being here and everything, and coming on. But I definitely agree. Just like, I think one of the big examples of that is like spanking, right? You're not gonna spank a kid when they're 16 years old. You know, whether
No,
you agree with
no.
spanking or not. But I'm just making the point that I think you're absolutely right when you say things have to be like age appropriate, time appropriate, all of those type of things. So I definitely agree with you with regard to the appropriateness of things and learning how to slide your scale for what's age appropriate. And then I think part of it too is knowing your kid. Some kids you can spank them
Yep.
to the and makes no difference. So you really got to.
You know, of course, with this next generation, you know, with my kids, you know, they're able to, you know, understand life and be able to make decisions based upon where they want to go on life, on their journey. So
Yeah, I highly agree. Anything else for this week?
The only thing I have to say is I really like the Zoom for the conferences. This is great.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
Yeah, and I like how it just, when you got back on, how it switched back to your picture. That was real cool too.
Okay, see, I have no idea. Right,
and I don't know if you played around with the like when you do the presentations and stuff, you can share the documents or anything like that, or anybody else can share whatever they've run into through the week, or you know, whatever experience, they can kind of show it to everybody else. That's what makes us cool too.
We didn't practice it, but well, we all didn't, but Carlton and I did. Because I can like change and make anybody else a host. And then as soon as I make a host, then you can share your screen and everything. Yeah, so I know we can do that, which would be cool. So I can start having other people lead the meeting.
Yep.
What else I was gonna say? I thought was pretty cool with it. There's something else I was gonna say, but either way, I think it's pretty cool. I really do. I like this. And what I think I'm going to do is next week I open the conference call up for probably the last time. What we'll do is we'll just start on here. I just think it makes more sense. We can start on here.
Absolutely.
Just start building content, start building that. How's everybody coming with their autobiographies?
I've been really bad. I'm just being honest with you. I'm not going to fake it.
This all What I'm thinking I'll probably do next week, especially since we'll all be on, is I'll go ahead and I'll time it during the week, which means I'll cut down because I've just about finished writing everything on mine. So what I'll look to do next week is see if I can have mine condensed at least to 10 to 15 minutes. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just share mine, and then maybe we could just have some conversation around how mine went, you know, and some feedback. If there are questions, but more so, I like to use it as kind of a test ground and say, okay, that was good, or let's change this, or maybe look at, you know what I'm saying? Let's critique it. So at least, you know, with the handful of guys that we have, at least those can be as much of a model for moving forward as possible. We all can agree that, okay, that's a good way to have the autobiographies look, sound, and feel. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, cool.
Sounds good.
Anything else y'all can think of before we sign off?
No, I think we're good to go.
Right, good deal,
I'm just trying to get used to. I'm trying to get used to this thing, you know.
No, all good.
Like trying to make sure. Look, y'all see this.
I got another Zoom meeting to get into.
What'd you say, Daddy?
I said I have another Zoom meeting to get into. So
okay.
This was more of a class.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. So I'll let you guys go, man. Let you have the rest of your day back, man. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend, man. I look forward to talking to y'all next week.
Appreciate you too.
All right, fellas.
All right, you guys.